We are for our audience of 0.
Sweet.
Hey, but we're here.
Are those little paintings the ones you were working on a couple of weeks ago?
Oh, maybe. Yes. But you know
They're-
what? They haven't gotten any farther.
No, and I mean, to be honest with you, I'm really surprised that my Western Auto sign got painted, like finished painted, yesterday. But
Hey, you gonna show us that?
I get it. It just they look so similar. Like I got it off to the side, but all your little paintings so similar. But like and they're all different as well. But like when you don't see them all that often, and so I didn't know if those were newer ones or the same ones or.
Oh, I just figured you were being a jerk. Like, hey, are those the same ones?
No, like I know you have a lot to do. Isn't it like what 40 of them?
No, 16.
16?
16. That's all I have. 16.
Okay.
If I finish these 2, I will have 8 done. And then finally I drew up some more. What I really love is what?
Oh no, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say what I really love is this one. These are sunflowers. I'm like, I'm not drawing out petals. There's no point. I will paint those bad boys.
If you know what it is, then you're good.
Yeah.
Are those little canvases or are they just like blocks?
No, they're little canvases.
Oh.
And I just realized this one is terribly. I'm gonna have to redraw this. He gave me extra ones so that that one's terrible too.
Hit the back with water.
Yeah, does that really work on the small ones?
Yes, it does.
Okay, that's good because none of these are better.
I'm getting distracted just watching the screen, watching you play with little canvases that I'm not even touching my paper.
Actually, that one's not too bad. Okay, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then, actually, I don't even think I'm doing 16. I think I'm getting paid for 14, and I was going to do an extra one just for him. I think that's kind of cool. That's what I was doing. We'll see if the extra one gets done.
I'm going to guess no.
Yeah. I'd probably.
I have that much confidence in you, in your ability, and not necessarily ability, like your desire to get it done.
You just spritz it in hairspray, or not hairspray, blow dry, right? Or do you even have to blow dry?
No, you shouldn't have to.
Yeah, because these aren't even stretched, but I will trust you that, because otherwise I have to redraw this one. Mind you, that's the tulip, and that one was so easy to draw to begin with.
Yeah, you spritz a little bit onto it. The worst thing that's going to happen, like you're saying, you're going to have to redraw it anyway. So.
Yeah. My thing was, do I paint before I spritz?
No. Spritz first, let it sit.
Is that because I'm going to maybe have to redraw it?
Well, I mean, that
or
too.
Or is it not as effective?
So when you're going to paint it, though, you will be painting it with the canvas imperfections. What I would suggest doing is you spritz it, and if it seems to warp a little bit after that, spritz it again just before you go paint. Let it tighten up, because like it'll tighten up within a minute or so. It's actually really fun to even just watch it.
Well, I'm going to take off. I'll be right back. I'm going to go get some water.
Fun, which means I have to sit here and people get to watch me draw.
I actually don't know if you can hear me as I'm walking. I don't think it affects me. All right. I
Good,
I
because that
feel
was
like
some
you
really
should.
that was some boring dead air right there.
I feel like you should have just kept up a conversation, and if I would have had it using my speakers for my earbuds, I think you could have heard all the awesomeness of me. Like, what'd you guys do with this? I have no clue where my kids put my spritz bottle. Do you think if I just wet the back, like
Well,
not dump water on it, but tap some water on it?
Don't pour water onto it. But if you get your fingertips wet and just kind of flick it at it, that should be
that's
enough.
what I was.
Especially, you said what? Those are what, 2x3 canvases?
Yeah.
3x4, whatever they are. Yeah, they're not. That's not going to take much. You basically just need to get the fibers a little bit wet. Even if you had, well, like a clean brush and some water.
I'm just using my finger.
It's one of those little valuable tricks that we learned in college.
That I apparently didn't pay attention to. Actually, no, I paid attention to that. I just think when we built our canvases, we just did a really good job.
Well, the trick was, though, at least again, what I remember hearing from Anderson and Drew, because I know you didn't as much, but I got along with Drew a lot.
Oh, I didn't not get along with Drew.
I know I'm not saying that you guys hated each other, but like, you didn't run around in the same circles. No. To be fair, neither did I. It's fine. But I was watching him put canvases together one time, and I don't know if it was him or somebody around, and we had the conversation of spritzing and wetting your canvas before stretching it.
Oh yeah, before the rubber skin glue and stuff too.
Yeah, and it made so much sense, and I was like, oh well, I want to try that. And when I did that, my canvases were like the tightest, tight drum style canvases I'd ever painted on, and they were amazing.
Yeah, I just never thought about. I mean, I know you do it after the fact. Like once they're already stretched. You know what? I cleaned my studio. I started last week, and I cleaned my studio, and I'm just sitting here like, where is all my stuff? Because typically it's just all laying around.
Good job.
Oh yes. All right. We're gonna do when I clean my studio, I have a problem. So I found all these brushes.
Yeah.
I would say there are about 30 in here that are new. Actually more than 30, but I was just like, what? Why do I keep buying paintbrushes? Because I like paintbrushes.
I am within arm's reach, and I'm sure there's more, but I can see like 5 nice brushes. Well, here, nice brushes that I have.
Oh yeah.
That I'm afraid
to
use.
Those.
They're so nice. I don't want to ruin. Like, it's the same reason why I have like 3 sketchbooks up in my cabinets right above my camera, that I'm not going to touch because I'm afraid I'll ruin them.
Oh, just do it.
I know. I understand that.
I feel you so much on that because I have. Oh, where is it? It should be with my watercolor. Okay, so I have this. Okay, yeah. All it is tiny little dots of watercolor. This was so expensive.
Sure.
And I'm like,
you want to wait and make sure that you have the right project for it. You'll never have the right project for it, by the way.
Probably not. But I am like, they're just little dots. They're just little dots. But as you know, watercolor, a little goes a long way. But yeah. So I feel you. All right. I gotta actually do something. All right. Paintbrushes. I absolutely adore a good. What are they? Is it a Filbert or Filberts or
The Filberts? Yeah.
is it Filbert?
Yeah.
I always feel like I'm saying it wrong. I love a good Filbert. There's something about a Filbert that just makes me happy.
Oh man, the weird things that we get into conversation when we talk about art. I am I, mainly because I like to have the conversation with the students. I really like squirrel hair brushes.
Squirrel hair?
Squirrel hair.
Squirrel hair. That seems like a Chris thing.
I'm sure Chris has some squirrel hair brushes.
Does he do painting?
Man, that dude does everything.
He does, and he's good.
I will point out that those paper cuttings he's doing are on his Glowforge.
Yeah. Oh, are you pointing that out because I could be doing that?
I mean, I'm pointing that out because you also have a Glowforge. I'm just saying. To be fair,
Tony's...
though, I have a K40 laser engraver out in my garage that was put out there the week that I got it, and it's been sitting there since.
Did you get it in this new house?
Yeah.
I thought it was the other house, but
no. I got it. I don't remember how I came across the money for it, but I was like, oh, it's something I wanted for a while. And I was like, I'm going to go ahead and buy it and I'm going to order it. And then it got here and I was like, wait a second. I don't have a great place to put this.
Oh, yeah.
Because it has to be vented outside. Like my studio isn't next to a window.
Yep.
So that kind of changed some things.
Yeah, the Glowforge, though we do have the filter, so it doesn't. Tony had to order a new piece. We didn't realize that when you are done Glowforging that you should leave that filter running for half hour to an hour afterwards. Right. And so we went through our filter way faster than we should have ever gone through our filter. And that's just because all the particles couldn't get to like the other layers. So we gummed up the one layer and whatever. Anyways, So it's got to be next to a window. And in our downstairs, you've seen our space, but now we have a 3D printer and we got the Cricut and we have the massive Glowforge. And I would like it to not be where it's at, but because it has to have window access, we're stuck.
Did you ever figure out what?
It's just not a convenient spot. Oh, no. Oh. But I could easily look that up on my phone real quick.
I'm just more curious than anything else.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
I've been using ours lately to make. I designed out or trying to design out a piece that will make playing some board games easier.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was more of we sat down to play the board game, and they're like, "Man, I wish that we had something like this." And I was like, "Okay." And then like 20 minutes online, playing around because I still use just Tinkercad to put it around because I'm everything I'm doing is super basic right now anyway. And 20 minutes, and then it was like an hour on the printer. And concept is right, but I measured a couple of things a little bit wrong, so I need to adjust. But...
Oh, sure. I have nothing to do with the 3D printer. Like, it's fantastic. 3D printer and the Glowforge. Like, well, the 3D printer I bought Tony for his birthday. It was an early birthday present, just because, like you said, I had the money and he wants one. And the kids, like him and the kids, like that's what they do.
Sure.
They try to do the 3D printing and stuff, and I just sit there like, yeah, I don't want to learn something new right now.
I came really close to getting a second one for a smaller one for the boys.
Oh yeah.
And not that they can't use the one that I'm on, but it's inevitable. Like they only want to do this when I sit down and already have something going.
Oh, sure. Out of sight, out of mind. Oh, I did pull that up here. Hold on. He has. Oh, funny. I actually have to click on a link. VoxLab
Okay.
3D printer series. Aries Cube Design. No idea.
Nice. Is it?
Which is
Is it,
funny. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, is it open or enclosed?
It is enclosed.
Okay.
It's got a
cover case or something for it.
yeah, because this is maybe not the best way to show it to you. That's what it looks like.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, the funny thing is when I first asked him months ago what 3D printer he would want, that wasn't on the list, period. And then when I asked him again, he's like, oh, this is an actual thing. And then this was the only one. I'm like, this isn't. So glad I asked again just to make sure.
Right. Yeah, because there's some big differences between them. And so like the one that I have is an open model, and it's more of a hobbyist model, which that's what I am. I'm not trying to do anything professional with it or anything like that, but it's kind of fun and different. And what I've found with those is there's a huge community of people online that are super helpful with it.
Yeah. That was the one that you have was the one that was on his list. And the funny thing is this one I don't think is any better. I think it's like a low grade model, but he really wanted something enclosed because he wants the kids to be able to use it. And so this was going to help with bumping and whatever.
It's going to help with temperature fluctuations, to be fair.
Oh, there you go. He was saying some words and I was just like, uh-huh.
Well, so these open ones are really prone to, like, if you have a cold draft, it'll cool the print just enough that it'll try to release from the board, which is never a good thing if you think about it. So, yeah, if I was getting one, so I'm in the process of writing a grant to get one for school. I would get an enclosed one, so that way I could run it even overnight, and it wouldn't matter. Because some days I wish hours.
Oh yeah. Some of the times I wish my school was actually considered a school, so I could actually apply for stuff.
This is a grant through our school, like our school district. But again, my school district is 22,000 students.
Well, yeah, like we have no grants. We have, we're a private entity.
Right.
I don't know what I'm doing.
That's right. I don't know what you're doing either.
Yeah, I hate this one. I'm not happy with it.
It looks fine.
Except for the white blob right here that I'm working on, right?
Well, yeah, you haven't painted it yet.
I don't know what that looks like. I'm staring at my reference image and I'm like, this doesn't exist.
I really hate that when you stare at it at reference image for so long that it just becomes, shapes and everything, and it like you still can't wrap your head around what actually is going on.
Yeah, I'm like, when I drew this, because I didn't draw it exactly like my reference image, maybe I should have.
Wow.
That probably would have been more helpful. Oh,
I'm always known to take some creative liberties in my drawings. Sometimes it's, like I got up in here and there's a lot of really tiny little details because it's like a tree line behind the giant shuttlecock. And so there's a tree line back there and I'm like, no. And I just kind of, okay, it kind of looks like trees now. That's it.
But I remember Anderson saying that a lot. And I think that is something that has stuck with me is it just has look for the basic shapes.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have to look like it. It's just
Well,
got to.
the thing that I like to tell my students all the time is, especially even in realistic drawings, one, if it's hyper realistic, we can just take a photo, right? There are people
Right.
out there that do a really good job, but at a high school level, that's not what I'm looking for. But you don't have to draw every detail. You just need to give the
Right.
impression that those details are there. Like
There
you
you go.
just need to, you just need to give that idea.
That's what I was trying to get at.
And so, like, it's one of the things that I have grown to love about watercolor, because there are so many things that you can do to give the idea that there's those details there, but without actually having to do it.
Yeah.
And
apparently that's a thing.
If you go back in time and tell my, freshman, sophomore year of college self that, hey, one of these days you're going to love doing watercolor, I would have
punched you in the face.
I would have punched you in the face.
Yep.
Like,
I'm like, there's no
that's
way.
not happening. Like, watercolor sucks. I don't know what you're talking about. And then here I am prepping to do an ink and watercolor. Rolling my kneaded eraser along my pencil lines.
Oh, yeah. It's not a toy, kids. Oh.
I've got my kids pretty well trained for this. I'm about ready to start allowing my students to use the little Tortolon blending stumps.
Oh.
I took them away from my... No, God, no. And it all happened. It's all because of what happened a couple of years ago with them. I put them out there. I showed kids how to use them. I had everything ready to go. And then within like an hour, of letting my kids use them, like 30 of them were destroyed because instead of using them on the side, they were using them straight down and they unwound. I'm just like, nope, not anymore. So I still have a giant bucket of them from like 5 years ago that I've refused to let any of my students use.
Oh.
I know.
Make them.
Oh no, I let them make their own, but if they destroy their own, I don't care. I let them buy and bring in their own. But I can't justify buying something, and I know they're not terribly expensive, but I can't justify buying something that it's going to be destroyed in a matter of minutes.
Yeah, I honestly don't care how expensive it is. If you're not using my tools properly, then you don't get to use the tools. I mean, that's
just common sense.
Yeah. And when you're buying for so many students, that adds up.
It does. Like, I always feel bad. So yesterday I put together my last supply order for this year. And man, I feel so bad when I spend that much money.
Ooh, yeah.
Like, I know that they're giving it to me. I know how it is where spend the money or you'll convince somebody that you don't need that much money and they'll give you less next year.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I feel really bad. But the one I would say positive that came out of like the lockdowns and everything that we went through is I have a lot of excess, and not excess, but like a lot of things that I had already pre-ordered so that I don't need to order that, right? Like, so I have a bunch of paper that we didn't get around to using. So I have it, so I didn't have to order it again. So I was able to order some of the stuff that I'd been pushing off or ordering just a little bit at a time. Like, now I was able to actually order what I needed. So that was kind of nice. All right. I think I'm going to start. Oh, I brought this guy with me. I finished.
Yeah. Can you zoom in on that?
I'll hold it up.
Okay, I was like, that even just looks better than a photo, period. Stop moving it.
So
Oh yeah.
what was really funny about it, so at school, I had some ink, right? Some bottle ink that I was going to brush on.
Right.
And I was going to use that, but I used the gel pens for the, the highlighting on the sign. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, well, I wanted to, do some white ink here on the outside. I was either going to use, well, I actually bought an acrylic paint pen to do that. And I was like, oh, well, I've got ink here. Let me just go ahead and do this. And so I started painting it on there. And it's like, man, this looks weird. Like what? And so I was like, nah, I finished it out. And then I looked at the bottle and it's iridescent white.
Ow!
And so like the actual sign, the light up arrow or whatever has iridescent white all over it. And so that's why it looks a
Okay.
little bit weird and shiny.
But that works.
It helps. Yeah, no, it works perfectly fine for this. But no, I'm
Not what you were
really glad the way
expecting.
this came out. So I need to double check that my scan looks good enough to make prints
Yeah.
out of it. And then I'm gonna get this thing framed up, and I'd love to find a shop or something down here that I could put some art in. But
What is our first show? Is that the
I think
gaming
it's that
one?
gaming convention in Lincoln.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like
That's what I was thinking, but
we have not committed to too many shows this year, even ones that we've committed to in the past.
yep.
I know it's.
Did we decide anything on the summer one? I know you said you wouldn't be able to be there because of
I got something else going on. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I'm okay. Man, it's expensive. And there's no way around it. But I guess I'm okay with the idea of it.
Okay.
Like I'm not against it by any means. So I don't know. Like I said, we've done it before at that price, so I'm not too worried about it. But
Yeah, I didn't realize we had, so that's good that we keep records.
we do something, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes. Of course, I'm looking at my paint palette right now, right above my piece. Right now, it's like I want to start painting the green because that's the easiest thing that I know I can paint. Yeah,
Right.
apparently I'm almost out of green in my palette.
Oh.
So, yeah, I'm off to the side just testing my colors real quick because seeing if I have what I need.
Oh yeah. I'm just trying to darken up some shadows here. I hate coming back in when my oils are actually almost dry and trying to add things
Sure.
because that's not how I paint with oils. I know some people do layers and stuff, and I guess I do to a certain extent. Like I'll do my background or whatever, work farther
Right.
away and then get closer. But I really love the ability to mix on my canvas. Like, to me, that's the joy of oil paints.
And when I did oil paints, like I had to paint it in such a style that it's a tough one. Either I need to be able to get it done all in one shot,
Mm-hmm.
or it needs to still look like that if I come back in a week because I'm bored with it.
Yeah, that is something that you struggle with.
I did not. It's one of the big reasons why I didn't like oil. It's because my idea of when to work was never consistent,
Yeah.
or I wanted to work on 6 paintings at a time, and acrylic made it so I could do that.
Yes, I hate acrylic so bad.
I do not.
Yeah, I mean, I used to like them better than watercolor, and now watercolor I prefer, which is funny. And looking when I was cleaning up my studio, I have so many paintings in here that are not done. And I'm
Sure.
like, I probably should just come back to that and finish it. I've been working on this huge painting for my mother-in-law, but it's that I don't want to mess it up. So like the water looks great, the sky
Yeah.
looks great, a couple of the buildings look great, but then I have to do all the boats and the rest of the buildings. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I do understand that as well.
Well, I think it's been a good 2 years. The last time I worked on it, it was before we moved in here. So 2 years, 3 years. So it's been a while, at which point in time I'm like, I am kicking myself for not keeping an art journal. And I'm not exactly sure. Like I can kind of look and see what colors I used. But man, it would be really good if I had actually written that down. Like that was one thing that Anderson forced us to do that really I felt helped quite a bit.
Well, and so I
Was
was
just
just
being
thinking
able
about
to.
that. I was thinking about that the other day, and we've had this conversation before. Either he didn't expect us to, or I just didn't do it and he didn't say anything. That I did not keep an art journal in college.
What? You had to turn it in with your PowerPoint.
What PowerPoint?
No, absolutely not. Shut your mouth.
No, I'm
I am
100% serious.
so angry right now.
No, I'm serious. Like end of the semester, right? Painting.
Yeah, you had to go do your presentation with him. Your printout should have all of your images in it.
Oh, you mean the where I set my 6 paintings in front of him? We talked for 20 minutes, and I took them back and put them in my locker and went home.
I'm done with you.
Like you can't be mad at me because it wasn't expected of me at that time. Like I didn't know.
You're terrible. That's all I'm gonna say.
Well, I am terrible, but I just had my reference image around me and I can't find it. No, I always thought that was kind of weird because like I saw older, you and Marie and Drew, whatever, they always had little notebooks, and I was like, I wonder what that's for. And like nobody told me.
Did you have to keep a timesheet?
No.
Oh my, what? Dude, we were required to write down how often we painted. Man, Mr. Anderson gave up on you.
Apparently.
Oh.
Or he realized, the sheer talent that I had, and realized that I didn't even have to worry about that nonsense.
Well, I mean, you are talented. Everybody, well, not everybody, but most people that we were in that. Well, no, I think painting.
Sure.
Painting wasn't everybody's cup of tea. Like, and that's perfectly fine. I tell my students that. That's the reason why I try to expose them to so many of their different mediums, because this might not be your thing.
Sure.
Maybe it was because you were actually in painting and I was in studio.
I took studio
and you didn't have to do that for studio?
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, I know that it was very obvious like what I was doing was taking time and working, and we had a lot of conversations about what was going on.
Dude, it was obvious that I was working too, so you just shush.
No, but I wasn't working in oils. And so maybe I don't know that had anything to do with it, but it could have, I guess.
I'm pretty sure not, because Drew was not also working in oils.
Drew only worked in oils.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was saying.
No, but like I didn't.
No. Oh, yeah. So he would have kept the journal too, but that doesn't make sense. Oils, that doesn't make sense. You can go ahead and say that.
I'm trying to justify things. I don't know.
Yeah. Mr. Anderson was not necessarily equal opportunity.
No, but I think, and again, looking back at it and having this much experience teaching now, I think he was, I think he was more equal opportunity than you think, but it was more of the I'm going to give you what you need.
Dude, maybe with painting, but hey, girls don't weld. So
Well,
I'm not going to teach you to weld.
there was that too, but I'm just saying, like, in the way that he approached, you know, a lot of different people, like he was hard on the people he knew he could be, and he was not on the people
Oh,
that he knew he needed.
absolutely.
So to that degree,
I look
I'm-
back and I am very grateful for him as a instructor, just because like I really did learn a lot
right.
in spite of him.
You know what?
Which he knew that.
You still learned though.
Oh yeah. No, and he knew what motivated
Oh,
me.
absolutely. Well, that conversation that I had with him, you know, on at that last thing.
I'm
that
still
was,
so irritated that they had to move the date.
yeah. Well, I'm just glad that it actually worked out that I was able to go, but yeah, like sitting and having that even that short conversation with him, I think it kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things that were going on that at the time seemed very, very frustrating. But now looking back, it's like, oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. No, and then being a teacher yourself, you know there's so much more than just what you're seeing, right?
Oh, yeah,
There's a lot more going on.
very much so. I try to emphasize that to my students all the time. Like, yeah, I sit down a lot in class, but most of that's, you know, taking attendance and whatever, or I sit down to grade. But a lot of it is because by the time you see me at 8 o'clock in the morning, I've already been walking around and doing a bunch of stuff for 2 hours, like preparing, making sure that you guys have everything that you need. Like, I need 5 minutes to sit down. Like,
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
not to
class
help you.
prep
That's not a
is-
problem. I need 5 minutes to sit down.
Yeah, prepping classes. That was one of my problems. Like, so they needed somebody to monitor some of our students, and so I was just like, well, yeah, I can do that. And then as the year got started, I'm like, I have no time to prep for my classes. Like, I
Right.
am so sorry. I thought I could handle this, but there's no time to prep. Like, I can't do this.
Absolutely.
So I felt bad about that. But man, as soon as that got taken off my plate, I have got all this time to be able to set up my classroom, get ready for all my classes. And I mean, I think some people just forget, like, it's art is kind of like science, where if you're doing an experiment or any class really, if you've got materials that you have to gather, it takes a long time. And to make sure that you've got the right materials, and if you've got classes back to back, you got to make sure all that stuff is ready so that you're not trying to waste class time. Especially wasting class time is just terrible.
We at my school, we are actually considered or classified as a lab class.
Yes, because that's what we are.
Yep.
Yeah, I like that.
I always get concerned, you know, painting like this, that it's not showing up through the camera well.
Oh,
Because I'm looking
I
at a
can see
little, you know, tiny little screen or whatever, and I glance or whatever, and it doesn't really look like I'm like from my end right now. There's a ton of green all over this thing. You know, my first
yeah.
layer of green. There's a ton of it all over, but
no, I feel like you're just putting white on white. Ha.
thank you.
No, you can see it. It's just not.
Well, it's I
It's
mean,
not
it's not a
real
heavy
prevalent.
color by any means, but
No, because you're layering.
you know, the way you're supposed to do watercolor.
Well, you don't tell me what to do.
I mean, I'm not telling you. I'm just, you know, for the zero people watching, like wanted to make sure that they understood.
Are you sure that nobody is watching us? Do you have that?
No. Well, because if I go to check, then I'm going to see one, and then I'm going to be like, oh, somebody's watching, and then we realize, no, it's me.
Yeah, because I'm still not positive if my chat works. Not that that really matters.
At this point, this is more for us than it is anybody else.
Oh, dude, wholeheartedly agree. Like knowing that I've got to have something to work, because there's been Saturdays, like I try to come down here every Saturday regardless, but there has been some Saturdays where I will sit here, for a good 2 hours being like, what should I do? Even though there's tons of stuff staring at me in the face,
Sure.
telling me I should do it.
No, I mean, I get it. It's tough. It's tough. It's tough when you are trying to create for you.
Oh yeah.
Like that dog piece that I just got finished up that I'm mailing out later today. Like that
Mhm.
should have been done a long time ago. I overly apologized even for it. Like I offered to send it to her for free. Like this is my fault. You asked for this in September. It's February. It's the end of February. Like that's all my fault.
Right.
But I appreciate people who are patient with us, but yeah, there's so many things that I should be doing art
Oh, dude,
wise or whatever. So
I was thinking about that because these need to be completed by April.
okay.
And when I started this back in, I don't know, October, November, maybe it was November, December. Either way, I was just like, oh, that is so much time.
Yep.
And here I am, end of February, like, dude, I got to get on this.
So I've been going through my head, like there's a bunch of different artworks and every different styles that I want to try. Like that one of the worst parts about me being a teacher that I've realized is that I've never taken the time. I almost said that I never had a chance. I've had the chance. I've never taken the time to find what my style is. Right. I've always been trying to create for other people. I've always been trying to create for a lesson, for an example, and then I just do a few things, in that style, and then I move on.
Right.
And I'm really disappointed that I haven't found my style, right? The way that the thing that I want to do. Like there's a lot of things that come up and they're like, oh, I want to try that. And then I get into it and be like, this wasn't as cool as I thought it was going to be.
Well, what about your monsters? Like, or are you done?
I don't know that
I get that.
I don't know that I'm done. I think right now I'm kind of a little burnt out on them.
Oh, gotcha.
But I think part of that is I got out of them and then I haven't forced myself to go back in.
Yeah, when I did those Valentine's Day cards for my family, I remember just how much I missed doing those.
Yeah.
So that felt good.
And I think I would get to that point as well. Like, I think so.
My thing is if we're doing shows, then I probably should be creating artwork for shows, but I don't want to do artwork. I want to do my artwork. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and that's why, and we've had these conversations too. That's why, like, I am more apt to want to skip some of the big geek conventions that we've been doing and do more of these art gardens. And I know that doesn't help you. I understand that. And I understand.
Oh yeah, because I don't have art garden. That's the reason why it doesn't help me. Everybody who's watching this, it's because
everybody,
Captain's in Kansas City, and I'm in Omaha. So the art garden's in Kansas City, and it's just a one day, right?
It's a great opportunity. You can always.
Well, I think.
Hold on. If anybody does end up watching this and wants more information about Art Garden, send in a message. Oh, yeah. I will gladly. These people are amazing, so I will gladly. But anyway, yeah, because I feel like when we go to the big geek conventions that we have to do geek stuff, and we don't have to. Look at
No, we
Arden. She
don't.
doesn't do geek stuff. She does her own stuff and does really well at those things.
She does probably better than anybody I know. Well, besides like some of the big names that people are there for, but that's the whole thing is nobody else has anything like her. So if we're doing images, and even if it's like different, like I love doing the TARDIS, like that is something that I will not stop doing just because I am such a huge fan. But if you're at a Doctor Who convention, how many TARDISes can you find?
Sure. Well, I
So
mean, we did that Harry Potter convention a few years ago
Mhm.
and got there and realized, man, we did not prepare a lot of Harry Potter stuff and ended up doing well, but it's because we had everything but Harry Potter.
yeah, which was nice. It was nice that it worked out well for us.
Right. Right. I just,
Right.
I know that when I do this art garden, I know that I can play around. I can bring some of my geek stuff and I will appeal to, those type of people that are walking around looking for that kind of stuff because not very many other people have geek stuff there. But I also know that I can play around with, my different styles and find that one that is profitable and I enjoy doing, which is kind of
Well,
nice.
yeah, I've got such a weird desire of what I want to paint and what I want to do.
Yeah.
But like I really miss my windmills.
Sure.
Like it has been so long since I've done any windmills, and that was an utter blast. But I
Well,
got
I
into
think
that whole geek stuff, and
we get into this idea and like you were saying, like, oh, I gotta create something for this next show. And
yeah,
that then takes the priority over what you want to do. And not to say that you don't want to do this stuff for the show, because obviously if you don't want to paint it, you're not going to paint it anyway.
yeah,
But when it takes over, that priority, kicks in, that it messes with you. It really does.
yeah. That's why I like my friend Holly. She says she's got no more room on her walls, but I told her I was just like, dude, if you just want to see something on canvas, don't buy it. I would love to make it because she just brings things that I don't think about that just challenge me as an artist. And
Right.
I'm like, I really need that. I really want that.
I'm
So
trying
that's
to
my
get
sister. Oh, go ahead.
I'll say I'm trying to get better with my students at school, like making them have an idea or a theme, as opposed to just randomly Google searching an image and saying I want to paint that, or
Oh,
even worse,
yeah.
seeing something on Pinterest and trying to recreate it.
Oh, yeah. Did I send you the creativity verbs?
Yes.
Okay. Because I find I use that now so much more. Like you've got an idea, use a verb, change it. Like I want to see how you've adjusted it. And then I mean I always tell the kids because I'm like your first idea is typically not your best idea, though some of you are going to have those hearts that are like, yeah, it is. And even if you don't agree with me, you'll be like, nope, I'm doing my first idea. I told you it was, but that's a different issue.
Well, I mean, you know a little bit about that.
Oh, dude, that was me.
That was totally you for like 3 years in college.
I would say 2, but sure.
I didn't say 3 consecutive years.
Well, that's good.
I think
Yeah.
the first 2 years you're like no, and then you're like okay, and then you by the time you were senior you're like no, and all right, cool.
I would agree. I would agree. Not happily, but I will agree. Yeah, and I tell my students freely. I was like, I am the kid that was it. I am the kid who didn't do critiques well because I felt sorry for the negative comments, not realizing that it was not negative comments, it was helpful.
Right. Right. I would struggle with that a lot. I was not great at drawing when I first came. to college. And don't get me wrong, I don't feel like I'm great at drawing now, but I would get so many negative comments in our critiques that it kind of hit me wrong. Like I would go home mad.
Oh
And
yeah.
I kind of use that as determination to get better, which I understand was, ultimately helpful. But yeah, I did not take that criticism very well at that time, and I feel bad about it. Like I feel bad looking back on it now. Like you guys weren't mean. You were trying to help me. You were trying to make me see. Like that's that whole big fish little pond type of thing. When you're in high school and everything you do is still better than everybody around you, you don't notice your problems.
Oh yeah.
And you
Well,
get into that room of everybody is in that same boat, but there are still people now better than you.
yeah, and I think one of those hard things is that critiques are designed to improve your work.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody's going to be super critical because as artists, we want your work to be as good as it possibly can. So if you're not walking in there with a proper mindset of they're going to tear this apart and they should tear it apart, that way I come out better on the other side,
Yeah.
then it is really hard. It took me a long time to realize it is kindness for you to point out that this doesn't look right. Like, and it's not even, and sometimes it was just, you are nitpicking this to death, but you know what? If I work on those little things, it might turn out better.
Well, you couldn't be complacent with mediocrity, and
Oh
they
yeah.
kind of held you accountable for that. And yeah, it took a long time for me to separate the comment from the emotion.
Oh yeah.
And it's something I still struggle with, but when you realize when you're in that setting that everybody in that room is rooting for you to be the best artist that you can be,
And that's the thing.
that's huge.
Nobody, like, that community, I really have not met more artists that are just like, you're better than me, so I want to make sure that, like, I don't know, I put you down or
Right?
bring
Yeah.
you down. Like, that's not artists.
Right.
Like,
Right. Like
that's not what we do.
I'm not going to get better just because you get worse. Like that's not the
Yeah.
way it works.
Like, let your
But I mean,
light shine.
that's why a lot of times when I send you pictures of works in progress, I'm not looking for you to tell me, "Hey, that's amazing." I'm looking for you to tell me what's wrong.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
I
yeah.
trust, and a lot of that is I trust and respect your opinion on it. And it's not like, when I show my wife or anything like that, it's not like I don't respect her opinion on it, but you see it differently than somebody else, somebody who's not trained to look at art.
Oh, that's just like even my husband. Like, he can tell me if something doesn't look right, but he can't
Right.
tell me why it doesn't look right. And I'm
Exactly.
like, well, that's not helpful. I mean, I'm glad that you can tell me that something is off, uh, but you can't actually help me figure it out and fix it.
Right. Well, and so that's an exercise I do with some of my students at school too. So they'll work on their project for a little bit, and then I say, all right, when I notice there's a problem, right? When I look at it and say, okay, there's a problem, but you don't learn as much when somebody just kind of sits there and points it out to you, like
Oh
until
yeah.
So if you can kind of, so what I'll do is I'll pick up their piece, and I will step back, and it's like, all right, every
Oh
once in a while
yeah.
you need to step back 5-10 feet, right?
Yep.
And so I'll step back and I say, do you notice anything that looks weird or wrong or anything? And they're like, well, yeah. And I was like, okay, so what looks weird to you? And they'll point things out. And sometimes they point out things that I wasn't even looking at.
Oh, I love it.
Which that one's always fun. But so they'll point it out, and I say, okay, then what do you need to go and fix? And they're like, okay, well, they'll talk. And so we'll have that conversation. And a lot of times they come up with the right answer, and which is great, because then that shows me that they are seeing what it is. But if they start coming up with the wrong answer, then I'll kind of like lead and guided questions and everything like that. But getting them to recognize that kind of stuff on their own is so much
Mhm.
more helpful.
Yeah, I like to say struggle, like struggle, because all my students, like some of my students will be like, well, something isn't right. Like, what's not right? And I'm like, well, struggle. Look at it for a little bit. Like, see if you can figure it out. Like you, I'll hold it up
Sure.
away from them. And most of the times, that in itself, right there,
Yep.
like 90% of the time, that's gonna solve it for you.
Well, yeah. I mean,
But
I
there
tell
are
them,
times. Oh, go ahead.
I tell them that they're working 12 to 18 inches from their project at all times. You're not seeing the project.
No.
You have a flawed view of this project. And so by stepping back, looking at it, you have a better idea of what's actually going on.
Yep.
The one thing that I really enjoy is when I'm doing these at school. So I have a camera like this at school that I
Mhm.
do all my demos from now. It's so much nicer than having everybody crowd around you and that only 4 kids
Oh,
actually
I
get to see
bet.
you. But so I have this going, which means that what I'm projecting to up on the screens,
Mhm.
all I have to do is just kind of glance upwards and I can see my painting from 10 to 15 feet away.
That is nice.
It is kind of fun.
That is nice. Yeah.
Or at the very least, I'm seeing it from a different angle.
Right. Either way, it's just changing your perspective helps you to see more.
Yep.
All right. I don't know what's going on in here.
Can I tell you, I absolutely still love these watercolor brushes, these water brushes.
Oh yeah.
Like, I keep feeling the areas that I just put paint on not too long ago, and it's completely dry, like enough that I'm going to be coloring back over the top now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
ugh. Oh, so I
Sometimes I'm
gotta.
not. Oh,
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, mine was completely off topic.
Oh, that's fine. So is mine.
So a couple of weeks ago, I made a quick day trip up to my parents' house
Uh-huh.
for Scout Sunday. We went to my dad's church. The boys were in their Scout uniforms and everything. It was kind of nice. And I had an opportunity. So the boys stayed with my parents at church, and I ran back to, mom and dad's house, my old house. And I for whatever reason, I was compelled to look in the closet of my old bedroom that has been converted to like several different things since I left. But the closet has remained the same. Like everything was in the closet is still there. And so I opened it up and I found mine and my sister's high school letter jackets.
Oh man.
Right, shirts that I remember wearing that I don't know why they're still just hung up in there. And just you think about a teenager's closet and things are just shoved in there, and like why I didn't take any of it when I moved out, I don't know. But I found some, like, I didn't go digging, don't get me wrong. Like, if my parents ever saw this and realized that I went through that closet, they would be very upset. But I didn't go digging for anything. I opened up the closet and be like, oh yeah, I haven't seen in the closet in 20 years. I found this.
Oh, what?
I know. I didn't even remember that I had it.
Dude.
And it still works. I put batteries into
man.
it. It works perfectly fine. It needs a little bit of cleanup. I don't know what's on it, and it's kind of, terrifying for me to think about it. But yeah, it's trademark 1992. Or I'm sorry, 1993
Wow.
Tiger Electric.
Wow. That is great. That is so
Yeah,
great.
and so like this was one of the original ones. Like I'm it's probably worth something. Like, not
Do your
to
boys
me.
like it?
Well, like who has cassette tapes?
We actually have a couple. only because they're book on tapes.
Well, but like
So
that's
our
that
record player has.
you use that to record. Like I don't know who has cassette tapes.
Scraps.
They probably do, but
That's funny.
so yeah, I was pretty
Awesome.
excited to find that. I'd be excited to know if it was worth anything, but I don't know if I would sell it.
I would, yeah. That's my thing. Like I had something and somebody's like, "Oh, that'll be worth money," and I'm like, I don't care. Like that's
Well,
not
but
the reason why I have it.
On that same note, do I need 30-year-old like toy technology?
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. I just feel like you do.
Like my kids, I don't even think that they are interested in watching the movie. I don't know that I specifically asked them either, but I don't know that they're interested in watching it. So,
I painted the sides on these just because I don't know how he's going to display them, but I want to put my finger on the side to give me stability. This is terrible. I got nothing here.
You could use that 3D printer to print you like a little handle that would expand in the back of those things.
I absolutely told my husband I needed something. And then I think he was probably like, do it yourself. No, he wouldn't have been like that, but like he's got a lot on his plate too.
Oh, I believe that.
He's got to deal with me.
No, that's true. That's a full-time job in itself.
Do you guys do soap sculptures?
No.
Okay. I'm trying to figure out the best carving tool for it.
So we did it in Cub Scouts.
Okay.
With the boys, and they used pocket knives, which I understand is probably not something you can
No.
have them bring in.
No, that'll not go over well.
Paring knives, probably.
I'm not sure I can do knives.
Then I'm not sure you can do soap carving.
Well, I'm thinking of some dental tools. I think you totally could do that. And when I worked in the prison, I used to use the needle on the back of my badge to carve soap.
You made a shank. You used a shank in the prison.
I didn't make a shank. It was my badge.
You used a makeshift shank. Got it.
Sure.
No, I'm T-pin. Maybe
what?
A T-pin.
Okay.
It's like a pin needle or whatever.
Yeah.
That's just going to be a very small tip to it. Like it's not gonna.
Well,
you're gonna scrape and not carve.
I think it's more the experience, less. This is grammar school too, so it's not even my high school kids. If it was my high school kids, I could get away with probably a lot more, but little people and knives, first graders and knives are just scary.
I mean, anybody in knives is, high schooler is kind of scary. So.
Oh, I actually probably agree with that wholeheartedly. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how many times I've run into the problem where I have my high schoolers, they burn themselves on the hot glue gun.
Oh, yeah.
Because they touch the hot glue.
To be fair, I burn myself on the hot glue gun a lot also. So
when you do that, do you yell expletives and say, "Oh, that's hot"?
No.
Yeah, of course it's hot.
I was I was being dumb, most likely,
Well,
not
I have
paying
kids that
attention.
touch the hot glue and then blame the glue gun.
Oh, dude, kids blame everything. Like it's all your dude. You're the one using the tool. The tool has nothing to do with it. It's
Oh, my favorite response to them is a poor craftsman blames his tools.
oh yes.
And then
So
they look at me like they don't know what I'm talking about. It's funny.
yes. Should also be able to tell when your tools need to be replaced.
Yeah. I don't think I ever replace tools. I just set them down and get new ones. Like I never like get rid of them, or they're just, I have a can sitting right off to the, the side over here. It's full of brushes that I will probably never touch again.
Yeah, because they don't
do what I need them to. But
I'm like
will I get
staring
rid of them?
at
Nope.
yeah. I'm staring at a brush where my poor bristles are just so disgusting, like flared. And if I use this, the paint would not go where I need it to, but it's still sitting here.
Yeah. That's the teacher artist hoarder method. Like I can't
I
get
never
away,
thought
get
I
rid
was
of
an
it just in
yeah.
case.
I never thought I was a hoarder until I cleaned my studio again. And I'm like, oh, I am so terrible.
Right. Can hear my kids laughing upstairs, and I know it's not for anything we're saying because there's still 0 people watching.
0? Yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah. Hey, think about it this way. We've hit our average audience.
We have, and that's good. We're going places.
I'm just excited. Like I've actually gotten more done on this today than I had gotten on that Western Auto sign last time.
Yeah, I'm making progress. I mean, which is good. I irritated that my fingers are filled with green paint because I forgot to put my gloves on. Anybody who's watching, oil paints are toxic. You probably, should be mindful.
That's why we can't use them at school.
Oh, dude, just disposing of the stuff is.
Yep.
Well, I mean, if you let it dry out, I think that was Anderson's main thing. Let it dry out, and then it's easier to dispose. But yeah, we will never use oils. I'll teach my kids probably how to use oils. I never even touched oils until I went to college. And then it was just like, I don't understand how this works. Here's a teacup.
I was able to use oils in high school, but we had the proper disposal for it as well.
Oh, good for you guys.
Storage and disposal. And it was mainly just because like my teacher had been there for years and he slowly built up all this stuff. Like it wasn't my school had no clue what was actually going on in the art department.
Oh, sure. I did tell my boss that I was not going to be able to do all the grades next year. So I'm already just a little panicked and disappointed. Like every time I see my kids in the halls, I'm just like, I am not going to get to see you grow as an artist.
So what grades are you going to focus on?
High school.
Nice.
Possibly 7th and 8th if they need me to. The problem is, and I'm not sure how it'll work next year, but like, so I do 1st through 6th grade on one day, and then I do 7th through 9th, and next year it'll be 7th through 10th on another day. And then I do the elective, the printmaking elective.
Yeah.
But I told him, I was just like, I would prefer to write curriculum.
Sure.
And that's not necessarily true, but I mean, you know how it is. Like you see a vision and you see how things, like, if you could, you would probably tell junior high, like, hey, these are the things that you need to teach because it makes my job easier to do these harder concepts.
Sure.
Where, like, I right now I have control of all that. Like, I have control of all the stepping blocks, and I would like to be able to continue to have that. But I also, like I told him, I was just like, if you find somebody who wants to write the curriculum, feel free. I will be more than happy to not spend, 30 hours figuring it out every week or whatever it is, and just
Sure.
enjoy teaching, because I do. I enjoy both of them, but it's
Well,
priorities, I guess.
I think the big thing though that you're going to need is vertical alignment and understanding, what do you need to know? What do you need your kindergartners to know? And it's not necessarily, like, oh, they didn't know this, they can't pass kindergarten. Like, it's not that situation, but
Right.
what's going to make it easier for you to teach second graders? What's going to make it easier then for you to teach, third, fourth, and all the way up. And by the time you leave middle school, what do they need to know in order to be in high school? And I know your grades are a little bit different than ours, but that
Right.
concept where, yeah, no, I get it. And it is something that we have pushed for a lot. And so I have those curriculum documents, and I think I've showed you those before from our
Yeah.
district, and we get them tweaked all the time. But yeah, it's important that we have open conversations with our middle school teachers so we know what they're teaching, so we know what we need to build on. But our problem is we get kids I get seniors in Art 1, a freshman level art class, because they realize, oh crap, I need this fine arts credit, so they'll take Art 1.
Oh yeah.
But they'll take the class not having taken art since 5th grade. Because by the time they get to 6th and 7th grade, they have to take your fine arts. Well, that can be music.
Yep.
And
Doesn't
so a
have
lot
to
of them
be
don't
art.
have the visual arts, which I understand. I'm not trying to shame them or anything for not taking art, but like sometimes
It's hard.
that it doesn't translate over well because they don't fully understand what they needed to have known, or they last learned it 7 years ago.
Yeah. So it takes a while for, like, memory. And if they didn't really enjoy it in the first place, which is probably the reason why they are not taking art, then yeah.
My
Yeah,
favorite
because
conversation is that senior that, maybe they just now started taking more art classes, took Art 1 as a junior, they took one more, 2D media, 3D media, whatever with me. And they look at me like, man, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have started this earlier in high school.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm not expecting you guys to be amazing artists when you get done. I'm expecting you to try, to explore, to,
Absolutely.
expand your horizons.
Take chances.
Ugh.
Yeah, because for my students, they take art every year, like up until 10th. And then they are no longer required to take art, and it can be an elective. But like 10th grade, they take art. 9th grade,
Well,
they
and
take art.
the chances are for you, which is always a good thing too, the chances are if they take art every year and are required to take art every year up until 10th grade, there's a chance that they realize there's something along the way that you did that, junior, senior year, they're going to be like, can I do this? And
That
if
would
somebody's
be
coming to you,
fantastic.
if somebody is coming to you in that situation, especially in the situation you guys are in, if somebody's coming to you and saying, can I do, whatever, like, hey, I really, really like that printmaking technique. Can I do an entire year of doing this? You guys are going to find a way to either make that work or, yeah, you can start by doing this, but let's adjust and we'll do this thing instead or as well. And yeah, I think that's awesome.
Well, but we also have to keep in mind, they're not actually getting like a high school art class.
No, I
So,
get you.
because like your students, how often do they meet?
We do block scheduling, so every other day.
So every other day for how long?
Hour 15-ish. So they get
Hour
about
15?
3 to 4 hours of art a week, depending on the
For how
days.
long? Is that
For
a
what?
year, semester?
Year.
Years for the full year.
Yes.
That is beautiful. So
Oh,
my
yeah,
students for a
absolutely.
full year will get 45 minutes of art once a week.
True.
So the way I look at it is it takes 2 years for them to learn what most students will get in 1 year.
Right.
And that's okay. But it's
Yeah,
just
I mean,
we don't get
when
to
you-
progress.
When you go in with that idea of knowing what's going to happen, yeah.
Yeah. So I like the fact that my kids message me, but they will not message their dad
He's asleep.
because
They know that.
no, he's actually awake. I can hear him.
Oh.
But it's one of those things that they know he's not up. But they also know he's not going to look at his phone.
Well, we had a situation the other night, and looking back on it's kind of funny. So, my oldest, he's been having some troubles, getting himself to sleep, like overthinking things and freaking himself out, right? And getting in his own head about it.
Oh, sure.
Right. And just as kids do, and you got to teach them and figure out how to do this. And he'd been coming downstairs while, we were sitting in the living room and watching TV or, those type of, just sitting there. Right. And he'd been coming
Right.
downstairs. We were getting upset because, like, one, we've been giving him all of these tips and tricks on how to deal with things. And it's seeming
Right.
like he's not trying. He's just resigning to the fact of, if I go downstairs, I can get out of bed and I can, talk for a little while. Right.
Right.
And we wanted to make sure that he was understanding that that's not, just because you're, getting in your own head about this is not an excuse to get out of bed.
Right.
So we basically said, before you get out of bed, we need you to try X, Y, and Z, or we need you to try, some of the strategies we've been giving you. Well,
Yeah.
the other night, I'm sitting and I'm messing around on my phone for a few minutes, and I get a message from him.
What?
He was on his tablet, and he has Kids Messenger,
Oh,
and he was on
sure.
his tablet, and he sent me a message asking me to come upstairs. And I was like, I will. But that's the last time I'm answering these messages after 8 p.m. Like,
Yeah.
this isn't the loophole that, well, I didn't get out of bed. Like, no.
Oh,
no,
yeah.
This is still just as bad. But it was kind of funny. It was just like, yeah, he found that loophole. Good. Like,
Yep.
I
That's
am
kids.
one of those. I'm one of those people that, if you find a loophole, good for you. I made that mistake. It's not going to happen again,
Yep.
but you take advantage of it now.
Oh, I remember that happening on one of my assignments. Like, I asked a question and nobody was answering it. Like, there's totally an intent. Like, they knew what I was asking. I asked it inappropriately, or not inappropriately. I didn't ask it well. And
Right.
so they gave me exactly, and I'm like, what is going on? And I was talking to another teacher about it, and they're like, well, they gave you what you asked for. And I'm like, oh, you are so right. And now this is going to get rewritten because this is not what I wanted. Oh,
Right. Well, that's why, like, I have to take a step back when you see those reports and everything of, well, this teacher sent home racist homework or whatever. Okay. The question was worded really badly. I get that. But I really doubt that the teacher be like, you know what? I'm going to pull one over on the kids and give them this racist question. Like, it was written poorly. It needs to be, but that doesn't mean that teacher needs to be fired immediately. You got to look at the entire situation for sure. Like, don't get me wrong. There are terrible teachers out there, and I understand that. But, like, I look at some of these, be like, okay, I see what that teacher was trying to do. That's not the way you guys are coming across in this situation.
Yeah, I agree.
I always feel bad in those situations because I know how tough it is as a teacher to write good questions, to write,
Yeah.
inclusive questions without being pandering.
Yeah.
It's tough.
No, I agree. And then if you go to the internet to try to get some ideas, sometimes you just don't see how it could relate terribly to
Right.
students. Yeah. There's been a couple times even at our school that I've had to talk to somebody. I'm like, is this seriously what happened? And then it's it's a good conversation because then it's just like, oh yeah, I didn't think about that. Like, I
Right.
don't think we did.
Yeah, I mean, I think back to some of the questions and stuff that I had on tests in college that you could not get away with today. That we just thought, we looked at it and be like, oh, that's funny, that's hilarious, that's cool.
Oh yeah.
But like, they're now considered distaste. Like, don't get me wrong, they were distasteful back then. We just looked at it
Right.
and be like, oh, that's funny, and then move on. Like, I didn't think that the teacher was a terrible person for it. I didn't think that they were making fun of this group of people or this race or anything like that. It was just like, oh, I see what you were trying to do there. You were trying to make a joke. Funny, let's move on.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, wrong is wrong regardless if it's funny or not. So I'm not trying to defend those teachers by any means, but like, I remember it being a simpler time where we didn't get overly upset about everything.
Well, I'm of the little bit of belief here. Like, you don't need to be funny. You don't need to be students' friends. You don't need to be
No.
their favorite teacher. Like, and I think there are teachers out there that are trying to be trendy or whatever. Like, they are looking at these kids as, I don't know, like they need something from them instead of like, hey, you're the authority figure. You
Right.
are shaping these minds. You're helping them grow. You are a safe place. And I think that I have a hard time with that. So like I don't really joke in the classroom. I try not to use sarcasm and you know how hard that is for me because I'm a sarcastic person. But kids don't get it anyways.
No.
Like, the majority of them don't get it, and then it just becomes hurtful or distasteful or it gets taken wrong. And
Right. Well, see, I'm
yeah.
definitely the a joking type of teacher in class.
Oh yeah, I've seen you teach.
Yeah, and the one thing that I like going for me, and especially now that I have some consistency, in the same school and everything, I am consistent in the way that I teach, and
Yeah.
I want my kids to know that, yeah, we're going to have some fun conversations. And granted, I have high schoolers, so it's a little bit easier to have more, in-depth conversations about things. But I also, they need to know that when it comes down to it, I'm a teacher. You need to, listen. You need to pay attention. I'm not up here talking for my own benefit.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a hard line.
You're the adult. You're the authority figure. And yeah, you can have good conversations. I even remember, like, I've only got ninth graders this year, but I remember working, in the high school, and some of the conversations were absolutely adult level because, I had seniors and these kids are adults almost. And no, it's good, but there still needs to be, like you said, like, you still need to be listened to. You are the authority figure. You're wise because you're old.
There's definitely boundaries that have to be there, for sure.
Absolutely. And as a teacher, it's important that you don't cross them because honestly, they're still kids. They have no clue. And that's safety, right? Like, knowing where you stand with somebody and what you can expect is safe.
Well, and not only that, but it helps protect you as a teacher. Like, when there is no ifs, ands, or buts about the type of student teacher relationship that you have, like, there is nothing that's coming across You know, I make it very clear that I am there to teach you, and that is what I am there to do, and that's it.
Yeah.
And like I ultimately, like, I care about them as students, but you know, I'm not going to care about their stuff more than they do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You can't.
I mean, case in point, I've had to send emails to basketball coaches to have their star basketball player held out of games because he's not been doing his work or not showing up to class or.
Okay, I would appreciate that though, because I feel that there's not a lot at my school to be done if somebody's not pulling their weight. Like if they're not,
Right, because you
and
guys don't
maybe
have
it's just
sports teams.
because, no,
Are they planning on it in the future since they're getting up into high school?
that's no, they're actually not. So if
Nice.
parents want to run that, then they can, but their focus is on Christ and academics.
Nice.
Yeah. So I mean, I actually am fine with that because you know my stance on sports.
Yeah.
I don't like how it takes away from my family. But yeah, so there's not a lot of things that you can just be like, all right, you don't get to do this, and instead you get to do your work. And I'm
Right.
pretty sure, and honestly, most of the time it's not even an issue, right?
Sure.
But there should be something, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what
Well,
that's going to look like, or
the other problem that we have is, yeah, we can do that, but I mean, on a basketball team, you have 15, 20 people total.
mm-hmm.
My school is 1,600 students, so
Oh, it doesn't hit a lot of kids, right?
it's not super out there.
Effective.
But oh well. All right, I think I am done. We have been doing this for an hour and a half this morning.
Whoa.
I
Still
know.
no viewers.
Well, that's fine.
That is fine.
I actually got more done than I thought I would today.
You know, I'm not happy with my, or I'm not happy. There we go. That's what I meant. Like I am okay with.
Power through. You will be fine.
Well, I'm hoping to get my backgrounds done today. So like you're gonna go, but I'm going. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here live by myself. That's weird.
You should. 100% should.
No.
I'll just leave and then you just keep going the stream and yeah.
The viewers would be like, why? The viewers.
I know. I was about to say, what viewers? What viewers?
Yeah, they would just be so disappointed. Like, come on.
The negative 3 viewers will see this. I'm looking, so I have it up on my phone, not open, but like I'm looking at our Facebook page right now, and it says 1 person reached. And I still think that person is me because of the fact that I'm currently monitoring it on my phone.
I love it.
So, all right. I need to get out and mail. Okay, because I have it here. I will show you the dog.
Yes.
I have the dog.
What size is that? 5x7?
5x7, yeah. Which is perfect.
I didn't realize what size you were doing.
I won't show the other side because it already has the address on it. But I had these bubble mailers all ready to go, and so it's gonna be perfect for it. So.
Oh, and you've got it in the plastic. I was like, what are you gonna do to keep it? Because do not bend does not work. Like those people.
No. But I have it in a top loader, so it should be.
Yeah. Fun. Yeah. Those are pretty stellar.
So yeah, I think I'm good.
All right. You have an enjoyable day. Next Saturday, I will be out of town.
Okay, well, what is next Saturday? The 26th?
The 26th.
Okay, well, either we won't do it or I will go live by myself and sit here to nobody.
which I
is
refuse
fine.
to do. Like if I knew,
I mean, I would play some
oh,
music, but yeah,
yeah. Well, you
it's
can
fine.
feel free to go live. I have a church event that I'm going to be out of town for, so.
All right. Well, I think something, if we want to do this on a regular basis in the future, we may have to find a better time as well to do this.
I say let our audience come to us. Like this works well for us.
I mean, it does, but we'll see. We'll figure it out. All right.
Dude, even if we had somebody though, I'm just saying we wouldn't really pay attention if they were
No.
trying to speak to us or not. So,
Nope.
all right, I will
Not
finally
even
let
a-
you go.
You
This
know
is
what we need to
enjoyable.
do though? You know what we really
What?
need to do is convince some other people to join us.
Oh, dude, that would be fun.
So
We know
convince
artists.
Axton or Jesse or Arden. I know Arden's up. She's already been messaging the
Oh,
group.
she is always up, but she won't be ready for a couple of months because of her
Right.
exciting stuff
But
going on.
even if we got like Andrew to jump on with us, because I know he's got a setup for it.
Mhm.
Just
Oh, they wouldn't even have to do art. They could just sit here and
no.
talk to us.
Yeah, but would you really want to stare at a computer screen for an hour and a half watching other people create art? No, you'd want to
Dude, it's
create something
us.
too.
Well, sure, but I mean, it's the group, so I think we actually would be fine just hanging out on a
Absolutely. But I don't think
live
anybody
chat.
else would want to watch that either.
Right. Well, we're not doing it for anybody else. We're doing it for us. So I think
No, but I
that's the
think we could
key.
convince, a couple of other people to jump on with us every once in a while.
I agree. I think that would be fun. That would be a good time.
So we'll have to throw it out to the group and see if anybody would be interested, and kind of let them know that we do this, generally at 7:00 in the mornings on Saturdays.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Axton's up too, so
Oh, I know. I'm trying to keep up with the messages, the messages that have already been sent to our thing, and he sends me messages all the time about guitars, because we both have an
I
interest in
don't get
guitars or
that.
whatever. And
Mhm.
we actually we're talking about trying to find a time that I can go up and stay with them for a few days, and like we build a couple of custom guitars together.
Oh, fun.
Would be
I
a lot
want
of
to
fun.
play some D&D with Axton. Dude,
Yeah.
that would be so fun. But he's in a group. I'm in a group, so
Well. All
Yeah.
right.
All right, we're
here.
actually going to end this.
I know,
All right.
because we're terrible about, hey, we need to end this and then talk for another half an hour. So
Right. I'm ending it. Look, I'm going to press the button. Bye.
Okay.